Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Volume 7, Book 62, Number 66. Narrated by Sal bin Sa'd. A woman came to Allah's apostle and said, I present myself to you for marriage. She stayed for a long while, then a man said, if you are not in need of her, then marry her to me. The Prophet said, have you got anything in order to pay her mahr? He said, I have nothing with me except my izzah, waist sheet. The Prophet said, if you give her your izzah, you will have no izzah to wear, so go and search for something. He said, I could not find anything. The Prophet said, try to find something, even if it were an iron ring, but he was not able to find even that. The Prophet said to him, do you memorize something of the Quran? Yes. He said, such surah and such surah, naming those surahs. The Prophet said, we have married her to you for what you know of the Quran, by heart. Volume 7, Book 62, Number 67. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, a matron should not be given in marriage except after consulting her, and a virgin should not be given in marriage except after her permission. The people asked, O Allah's Apostle, how can we know her permission? He said, her silence indicates her permission. Volume 7, Book 62, Number 68. Narrated by Aisha. I said, O Allah's Apostle, a virgin feels shy. He said, her consent is expressed by her silence. Volume 7, Book 62, Number 69. Narrated by Kansa bint Kidam al-Ansariya. That her father gave her in marriage when she was a matron and she disliked that marriage. So she went to Allah's Apostle and he declared that marriage invalid. Volume 7, Book 62, Number 70. Narrated by Abdur Rahman bin Yazid and Majami bin Yazid. The same hadith above, a man called Kidam married a daughter of his to somebody against her consent. If you fear that you shall not be able to deal justly with the orphan girls, then marry other women of your choice. 4.3. And if somebody says to the guardian of a woman, marry me to so and so, and the guardian remained silent or said to him, what have you got? And the other said, I have so much and so much, mahr. Or kept quiet, and then the guardian said, I have married her to you, then the marriage is valid, legal. This narration was told by Sal on the authority of the Prophet. Volume 7, Book 62, Number 71. Narrated by Ursa bin Azed Zubair. That he asked Aisha, saying to her, O mother, in what connection was this verse revealed? If you fear that you shall not be able to deal justly with orphan girls, to the end of the verse, that your right hands possess. 4.3. Aisha said, O my nephew, it was about the female orphan under the protection of her guardian who was interested in her beauty and wealth and wanted to marry her with a little or reduced mahr. So such guardians were forbidden to marry female orphans unless they deal with them justly and give their full mahr, and they were ordered to marry women other than them. Aisha added, later, the people asked Allah's Apostle for instructions, and then Allah revealed, they ask your instruction concerning the women. and yet whom you desire to marry. 4.127. So Allah revealed to them in this verse that if a female orphan had wealth and beauty, they desired to marry her and were interested in her noble descent and the reduction of her mahr. But if she was not desired by them because of her lack in fortune and beauty, they left her and married some other woman. So, as they used to leave her when they had no interest in her, they had no right to marry her if they had the desire to do so, unless they deal justly with her and gave her a full amount of mahr. Volume 7, Book 62, Number 72. Narrated by Sahl. A woman came to the Prophet, and presented herself to him, for marriage. He said, I am not in need of women these days. Then a man said, O Allah's Apostle, marry her to me. The Prophet asked him, What have you got? He said, I have got nothing. The Prophet said, Give her something, even an iron ring. He said, I have got nothing. The Prophet asked him, How much of the Quran do you know, by heart? He said, So much and so much. The Prophet said, I have married her to you for what you know of the Quran. Volume 7, Book 62, Number 73. Narrated by Ibn Umar. The Prophet decreed that one should not try to cancel a bargain already agreed upon between some other persons, by offering a bigger price. And a man should not ask for the hand of a girl who is already engaged to his Muslim brother, unless the first suitor gives her up, or allows him to ask for her hand. Volume 7, Book 62, Number 74. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, Beware of suspicion, about others, as suspicion is the falsest talk, and do not spy upon each other, and do not listen to the evil talk of the people about others' affairs. And do not have enmity with one another, but be brothers. And none should ask for the hand of a girl who is already engaged to his Muslim brother, but one should wait till the first suitor marries her or leaves her. Volume 7, Book 62, Number 75. Narrated by Abdullah bin Umar. When Hafsa became a widow, Umar said, I met Abu Bakr and said to him, If you wish I will marry Hafsa bint Umar to you. I waited for a few days, then Allah's Apostle asked for her hand. Later Abu Bakr met me and said, Nothing stopped me from returning to you concerning your offer except that I knew that Allah's Apostle had mentioned his wish to marry her. And I could never let out the secret of Allah's Apostle. If he had left her, I would have accepted her. Volume 7, Book 62, Number 76. Narrated by Ibn Umar. Two men came from the east and delivered speeches, and the Prophet said, Some eloquent speech has the influency of magic, e.g., some people refuse to do something and then a good eloquent speaker addresses them and then they agree to do that very thing after his speech. Volume 7, Book 62, Number 77. Narrated by R. Rabi. The daughter of Muawi bin Afra, after the consummation of my marriage, the Prophet came and sat on my bed as far from me as you are sitting now, and our little girls started beating the tambourines and reciting elegiac verses mourning my father who had been killed in the Battle of Badr. One of them said, Among us is a prophet who knows what will happen tomorrow. On that the Prophet said, "Leave this saying, and keep on saying the verses which you have been saying before." Volume 7, Book 62, number 78. Narrated by Anas. Abdur-Rahman bin Auf married a woman and gave her gold equal to the weight of a date stone, as mahr. When the Prophet noticed the signs of cheerfulness of the marriage on his face and asked him about it, he said, "I have married a woman and gave her gold equal to a date stone in weight, as mahr."